Hey guys, thanks for stopping by and watching my first YouTube video. This video I'm going to show you how to edit this picture of a bridge, and we're going to use the Luminosity mask. We're also going to use Color Efex Pro 4, and well, let's get to it. So first things first, what I did was I created my Luminosity mask. I'm going to work directly from the mask or the channels tab here. That way you can see exactly what mask I'm using depending on what panel or however you use your Luminosity mask setup. I want to make sure you just see the mask, not necessarily the different panels I use. I use specifically Raya Pro from Jimmy McIntyre. It's a great panel. Give it a look. But the first step is we're going to unlock the background layer. We're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to go in to Color Efex Pro 4, and we're going to run some basic contrast adjustments. Alright, so now we're in Color Efex Pro 4. As you can see, I have a recipe for tonal contrast, pro contrast, and detail extractor. Just take a look at my settings here. These are all pre-saved. This is something I found that works for me, and I use these for the majority of my edits. If needed, I can go back in and change all these, but for tonal contrast, I have highlights, midtones, and shadows set at 8%. For Pro Contrast, I have my dynamic contrast set at 4%, and for my detail extractor, I have it set at 2% with no contrast added. This gives it a little bit more punch, and like I said, this is what I like, and I use on most of my edits here. This is a good starting point. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to let Photoshop do its thing and bring it in as its own layer. Alright, Color Efex Pro did its own thing here, and Photoshop has it on its own layer. If you work directly from the background layer, sometimes I have noticed that Color Efex Pro 4 will actually overwrite your background layer, and we don't want to destroy that layer, so that's why I created a buffer layer in here in between, but we can go ahead and delete that one in the middle there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to group that with itself. I'm going to call that detail. Alright, I group everything together even if it's on one layer, just that way I'm used to seeing it and I know where everything's at. The first thing we're going to do past that is we're going to go down to our midtones. We're going to select the midtones 2 channel. That gives us a selection here. While it's selected, we're going to go to our levels adjustment layer, and you can see our midtones mask is now, or selection is now made it on its way to it, or has made it on this mask right here, and that's why luminosity masks are so powerful. The selections are really really intuitive to, or really, I guess, particular to the picture, or yeah, you get what I'm thinking about here. So now I'm gonna go down to darks 2 here. So midtones and darks are usually where I do the most of my adjustments with luminosity masks. If there's a lot of bright tonal ranges, I will also have a brights one in there as well. But so I have darks 2 selected. You can see it, the marching ants here. I'm going to go ahead and hit my levels adjustment. That way that mask is now on, or that selection's onto the mask here. And then now, kind of bring this over just a little bit here. Alright, I think here we go. That's good here. We're going to go ahead and group those two together. Let's call that levels. Alright, now, I think that's pretty good here. I got some detail up here in the top part of the structure here. We can see some of the saturation has changed a little bit with messing with the midtone contrast. But what we don't need any emails now, do we? All right. So what you can kind of see here is the saturation gets adjusted as well. So we're going to play with that. We're actually going to push it a little bit more, but just keep that in mind if you don't like that much saturation. But if we add color, I want to do it mostly in the brights, just because that's where you're going to see more saturated color is in the highlights of an image, or the upper midtones as well, so instead of the shadows. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the brights a little bit warmer. I had brights 2 selected, and I had that selected while I hit my color balance adjustment layer here. So we're going to Gonna warm those up a little bit, midtones and the highlights. Now I find it very helpful to adjust both the midtones and the highlights if you have a highlights selected, or the midtones and the shadows if you have a darks channel selected. It just makes everything blend a little bit more seamless. I think we should use a little bit more color, so this one I'm going to do globally. Alright, there we go. That's pretty good. Group those two together, call that color. And now we're going to create a stamp visible layer, do some basic sharpening. You can hit Shift Command Option E if you're on a Mac, or Shift Control Alt E if you're on a Windows PC. I believe so. If I'm wrong, hit me up on the comments below. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to desaturate that layer by hitting Shift Command U or Shift Control U. And yeah, just so you guys know, I'm on a Mac, so if I get any of these hotkeys wrong, hit me up in the comments below and let me know so I get them right for the next one. I'm going off memory here, but I think I got them right. Alright, so we have it desaturated. We're going to go to Filter Other, then High Pass. For this one, radius about almost 4, 3.94, maybe a little bit more if you like it, a little bit sharper. It's up to you. It is to taste. Just add salt. Change that blend mode to soft light or overlay. You can kind of see the difference here. Actually, it really isn't much of a difference. And then you can play with the opacity of the sharpening layer here. I think it's alright here. Group that with itself. Call that sharpening. And the reason why I group everything with itself is if I have more than one layer, I know what group it's going to be in. I just get used to seeing the groups, and I like it that way, so it's just my workflow. And as you can see, it's all non-destructive. Alright, so now we're going to use an action that I created called Vignette. All it is it's two exposure layers, and one's bringing down the exposure, one's bringing up the exposure, light and dark. Is what I named them, just that way it's easy. You can see here the dark one brings it down, you know, a little over half a stop. The brights brings it up a quarter of a stop-ish. This just makes it easy to play with. Alright, so I have my rectangular marquee tool feathered at 150 pixels. I'm just going to go up here to the top right, bring this all the way down. Actually, about right there. Just want to keep the bridge selected here. So we have it selected, it's all feathered. Hit the light layer mask and invert that selection, and you'll see that it goes right. If you hit Shift Command or Shift Control I, that inverts your selection. Then you hit the dark mask, hit Command or Control I, and that'll invert the mask in that area. Deselect, and now we can just hone in a little bit here. Whoop. There's a lot of things going on my computer right now. Alright, selected a light layer mask here. I have a pretty hard brush. 70% something pretty good. And all I want to do is I want to paint white on this bridge, just to give it some more dimension with this vignette. Alright, and then the darkest one we're going to paint black in that same area because we don't want it dark. We want it unaffected by this this vignette. Right there. Back to the lights, white brush. Just want to bring that in. Alright, I think that's good. So now, let's go ahead and group those vignette layers together. Alright, I think that's good. Alright, we're going to group all the adjustment layers together. Call that adjustments. Oop, don't need that. Alright, and now we got a before and after. Alright, the next thing we need to do, we need to crop this thing. Alright, actually I think that's, yeah, Out there is pretty good. All right, let it do its thing. All right, now let's do that before and after. So before, not very contrasty, not a lot of punch, not a lot of color. There we go. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my first video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned. I'll be having a lot more coming your way. Alright, thanks. Have a good day and a good week. Bye.